Welcome to Goal Journals, Indian Premier League cricket match review. Imagine standing on the outfield, the ball dropping out of the night sky, and you just completely drop the greatest batter of his generation.
I mean, that is the ultimate nightmare scenario right there.
Right. And now imagine your teammate dropping his partner at the exact same score, just like moments later. So for you listening right now, our mission today in this deep dive is to look at the psychological collapse that follows those massive blunders.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and we're going to dissect Royal Challengers Bangalore's genuinely thrilling victory over the Kolkata Knight Riders. We are looking way past the basic scorecard today, to uncover how this match was truly won and lost.
Exactly, getting into the real mechanics of it.
We're focusing on a masterclass in a run chase, an incredibly tactical bowling squeeze, and, well, those agonizing mistakes that ultimately sealed KKR's fate. But we should probably start with the setting, right? Because Raipur threw a massive curveball.
Oh, absolutely. The margins in this format are already razor thin, but the environmental setting in Raipur threw an entirely different variable into the mix. I mean, we had a 1-hour rain delay before a single ball was even bowled.
Which completely alters the anxiety levels in the stadium. You're sitting there, the fans are sitting there, everyone is just staring at the covers, fearing a washed-out game or
one of those awful shortened games.
Yes, one of those frustrating 5-over shootouts where all tactical planning just goes completely out the window. But the skies cleared, and the damp conditions eventually gave way to absolute fireworks.
Well, the physical reality of a wet outfield actually forces a complete shift in game theory.
How so?
So when that leather ball gets wet, the seam swells and it softens up, becomes incredibly slick. The bowlers lose their grip, meaning they can't, impart as much spin or execute their deceptive slower balls with the same confidence.
That makes sense. It's like throwing a bar of soap.
Pretty much. Furthermore, fielders become really hesitant to launch themselves into dives on slithery grass. It creates a perfect storm for the batters to dominate, provided they have the absolute mental focus to exploit it, of course.
And focus is exactly where we need to start today, because the defining performance of the night perfectly illustrates how an individual's mindset dictates the physical outcome of these high-stakes scenarios.
We are, of course, talking about Virat Kohli's spectacular century.
Yeah, 105 runs off 60 balls, including 3 massive sixes. But, looking purely at that 100 on 5 ignores the gravity of the situation.
The context is everything.
Right. He came into this match carrying a crushing psychological weight after scoring consecutive ducks, literally 0 runs against Mumbai and Lucknow.
In the highly reactive world of T20 cricket, that context is massive. When a player of his caliber posts 2 zeros in a row, the external noise just becomes deafening.
Oh yeah, the media goes wild.
Exactly. The narrative instantly shifts. Analysts wonder if his hand-eye coordination is finally fading, or if his era is just over. But tactically, there is a fundamental difference between being out of runs and being out of form.
So think of a world-class player's capability, like a high-tension coiled spring. Those 2 zeros against Mumbai and Lucknow didn't mean the spring was broken or defective.
No, not at all.
All those zeros did was push that spring down further and further, compressing it against the floor, building up this massive reservoir of potential energy. And KKR just happened to be the unfortunate team standing over it when that spring finally snapped back.
That analogy hits the mark perfectly, I think, because it explains the underlying mechanics of his game. When a batter is genuinely out of form, you can actually see the mechanical failures.
Like what? What are you looking for?
Well, their head falls over on the drive, their footwork is really heavy, they are swinging in thin air because they're misreading the line of the ball. They just look physically lost at the crease.
Right, they look uncomfortable.
Exactly. But being out of runs often just means you've had a mathematical anomaly. A genuinely unplayable delivery found the edge, or, you made a micro error in judgment in the first over. The foundation, the actual mechanics, are still totally sound.
And we saw that foundation in Raipur.
We immediately saw the return of that chase master mentality, proving the foundation was flawless.
So what does that chase master mentality actually look like at the crease? Because, when you have to score nearly 10 runs and over, the instinct is to just swing violently, right? But he didn't look frantic at all.
It looks like weaponized calm. He didn't come out trying to hit every single delivery over the stadium roof just to silence his critics.
Right.
He navigated that suffocating pressure by starting with a really clinical demeanor. He waited. He allowed the KKR bowlers to make mistakes, actively targeting the loose deliveries, the balls where the bowler missed their intended length by just a few inches because of that slippery outfield we talked about.
Yeah, exploiting those conditions.
But the real genius, the actual engine of this innings, was his clinical running between the wickets.
It is exhausting just watching him run. I mean, it's a completely different speed to everyone else out there.
Because he uses running as a psychological weapon. He wasn't relying on wild, low-percentage slogs. He was tapping the ball softly into the deep pockets of the outfield and sprinting so aggressively for 2 runs that it forced the KKR fielders into panic throws.
Oh, wow. Yeah, putting that immense physical and mental pressure on the boundary riders forces mistakes.
Exactly. That is how you construct a century under the lights. You dismantle the fielding team's morale run by run, making them actively dread the ball coming their way.
And, the mathematical reality of a performance like this forces us to look at the historical context, because this wasn't just a great innings on a Tuesday night. It was a record-shattering legacy moment.
The milestones are just unreal.
The milestones he crossed in this single match are staggering. First, he became the first Indian batter to cross 14,000 runs in T20 cricket.
A figure that is almost paradoxical in a format specifically designed to induce high risk and get you out quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Then, he scores his 9th IPL century, breaking his own previous record. And just to contextualize how far ahead of the pack he is, England's Jos Buttler is the next closest active player on the century list, and he is sitting at 7.
Still a huge gap.
Right. He also became the most capped player in IPL history, surpassing MS Dhoni. But here is the statistic that I think demands deeper analysis. He achieved the feat of scoring over 1,000 runs against 4 entirely different franchises.
That's just wild.
It's 1,174 runs against the Chennai Super Kings, 1,172 against the Delhi Capitals, 1,159 against the Punjab Kings, and 1,126 against KKR.
When you lay those numbers out, it requires a moment to fully process what that actually means on a tactical level.
It reminds me of a brilliant comparison made by Virender Sehwag. He was talking about this exact kind of cognitive load, the sheer processing speed required to do this over and over. He likened Kohli's brain to Chachachol.
Of a comic book character.
Yeah. The famous Indian comic book character known for having a brain that works faster than a computer. It's not just muscle memory swinging the bat, It is real-time data processing out there on the pitch.
The Chacha Chaudhary comparison is incredibly accurate regarding the hidden engine of his greatness. To score over 1,000 runs against 4 different franchises means you aren't just bullying one weak bowling attack.
Right, it's sustained dominance.
You are mathematically reverse engineering the tactical game plans of Chennai, Delhi, Punjab, and Kolkata across entirely different eras of their team compositions.
Wow, yeah.
You're surviving their prime strike bowlers, adapting to their changing captains, and evolving alongside the sport for 18 years. To maintain that dominance in T20 requires computing field placements, bowler fatigue, pitch degradation, and dynamic run rate requirements simultaneously, ball after ball.
And the sheer volume of those runs isolates him completely. There is a 4,000-run gap between him and the next tier of veteran players.
4,000.
Yeah. While other absolute legends of the modern game are sitting around the 4,000 or 5,000 run mark, he's operating in a completely different statistical stratosphere.
It really speaks to a relentless, almost obsessive level of physical fitness and mental hunger that simply doesn't fade with age.
But, here's the mathematical reality of a 192-run chase. Kohli's phenomenal 105 still leaves nearly 90 runs unaccounted for. You cannot win a T20 match in a vacuum.
No, absolutely not.
A computer can process all the data in the world, but it still requires power. We have to look at the broader team dynamics that made this chase mathematically possible, starting with the guy at the other end of the pitch.
You are talking about the 92-run second-wicket partnership between Kohli and Devdutt Padikkal, which was the absolute bedrock of this chase.
Crucial partnership.
In a high-pressure chase, if the non-striker gets bogged down, the required run rate skyrockets, forcing the anchor to take unnecessary risks. Padikkal played the perfect supporting role.
Yeah, he really did.
He absorbed the pressure, kept rotating the strike, found the boundary when needed, and ensured Kohli was never isolated against a climbing run rate.
Exactly. Padikkal played his role perfectly, but you cannot chase a target if the target is already completely out of reach. So we have to talk about RCB's bowling strategy, and I actually have to stop you here because deploying 4 specialist pacers...
Oh, this was wild.
Yeah. Jacob Duffy, Josh Hazelwood, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and Rafiq Salam. It honestly looked less like a tactical masterstroke and more like a massive, reckless gamble.
It really did look crazy initially.
Duffy was absolutely obliterated early on. He was hit for 31 runs in just 2 power play overs. In what world is playing 4 fast bowlers on a wet outfield a genius move when your premium pacer is leaking runs like a sieve?
Look, it is a massive gamble. In the modern T20 game, giving up 31 runs in 2 power play overs usually spells absolute disaster.
Right, you're just giving it away.
You hand the batting team all the momentum right when the field restrictions are in place. But the brilliance of a strategy isn't always in how it starts. It's in the structural contingencies built into it for the death overs.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, Duffy misfired terribly. But possessing 4 specialist pacers means you have an arsenal of varying release points and specialized skills precisely for the back end of the innings.
Ah, the pace squeeze.
Precisely. Let's look at the actual timeline of KKR's innings. They were cruising. They went past 150 by the 16th over.
Which is a terrifying pace.
Right. At that trajectory, with wickets in hand and a slick outfield, you are mathematically looking dead set at a 200, maybe even a 215-plus score on what was proving to be a fantastic batting surface. But the RCB Pacers executed a suffocating squeeze that somehow defied the conditions.
How exactly did they do it, though? Because just saying they bowled well to death doesn't explain the mechanics of stopping a team with heavy hitters from adding 50 runs in the last 4 overs.
It comes down to executing absolute physical precision under extreme duress. Hazelwood, Bhuvaneshwar, and Rasik recognized the batters were looking to use the pace of the ball to clear the ropes. So they utilized extreme variations.
Like what kind of variations?
They bowled sharp cutters, dragging their fingers down the side of the ball so it grips the pitch and hesitates, completely ruining the batter's swing mechanics. They bowled wide Yorkers, pushing the ball full and outside the off stump, forcing the KKR batters to reach for the ball, which breaks their base and destroys their power generation.
Oh, so they're basically taking away the batter's ability to just plant their front foot and swing through the line.
Exactly. By constantly changing the pace, the angle, and the depth of the crease they were bowling from, they totally disrupted KKR's timing. The execution of those wide Yorkers and slower bouncers was so flawless that they conceded only 1 boundary per over in the final 4 overs.
That is insane.
Stop and think about that. 1 boundary per over in the death overs against a set batting lineup. They restricted KKR to 192 for 4. That mechanical execution of the pace squeeze is the hidden reason the century chase was even mathematically possible.
So RCB absorbs an early shock, adapts, and executes their plans perfectly at the death. But while they were dialing in their precision, the narrative on the other side of the pitch is, well, it's a masterclass in self-sabotage.
Unfortunate, but true.
KKR actively contributed to their own downfall through completely unforced physical errors and baffling tactical missteps. It's the ultimate game of what-ifs.
And we have to acknowledge that KKR had a genuinely solid batting effort to start. Angkrish Raghuvanshi anchored them brilliantly with a superb 72, showing great maturity. And Rinku Singh did what he does best with a late explosive finish to drag them to that 192.
The batting put them in a winning position. But the turning points of this match weren't about the boundaries they hit. They were about the catches they dropped.
The fielding was rough.
And this is where the script gets almost eerie. Listen to this sequence. KKR's Powell dropped Kohli when he was on exactly 23 runs. A massive lifeline. And then, as if mirroring the mistake, Vaibhav Arora dropped Padikkal when he was also on exactly 23 runs.
23 and 20.
Exactly, 23 and 23. KKR captain Ajinkya Rahane came out in the post-match environment and flat out admitted these specific drops cost them the game. Which leads me to a crucial psychological question for you.
Sure.
When you're on the field and you drop not 1 but 2 set top-order batsmen at the exact same score, can a fielding team ever mentally recover in real time? Or does a sense of inevitability just hijack the entire squad's nervous system?
It is a completely devastating blow to the team's collective psyche. What you are seeing is the contagion of panic.
Contagion of panic.
When a world-class player is dropped early, the bowler immediately feels let down, meaning their next delivery might be a frustrated, angry bowl that lacks discipline. The captain begins to second-guess his field placements, constantly moving players by 5 yards to cover imaginary gaps.
Right, everyone gets antsy.
And the fielders. The fielders who drop the ball are suddenly terrified of it coming to them again. They become flat-footed.
It's like a boxer realizing their chin is glass. They stop throwing punches to win and just put their gloves up, hoping not to get knocked out.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it. The fielding team's mentality shifts entirely from attack and take wickets to contain and survive. And when a drop happens twice to both key batters at the exact same score, it feels like the universe itself is sending a message.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
That sense of inevitability absolutely creeps in. You can see the shoulders drop, you can see the hesitation and diving for a quick single. The intensity vanishes.
And that mental fragility, that defensive mindset, seemed to severely bleed into their tactical decisions as well. The critiques regarding KKR's broader strategy are deafening right now, particularly concerning the misuse of their resources.
Oh, the tactical missteps were glaring.
Let's look at Sunil Narene's bowling deployment, for example.
Narene's effectiveness as a bowler relies entirely on the mechanics of mystery and the element of surprise. Under Gautam Gambhir's captaincy in the past, Narene was utilized like a tactical sniper.
Right.
He was brought into the attack at totally unpredictable moments, maybe the 4th over, maybe the 11th, specifically to break a dangerous partnership or choke a suddenly spiking run rate. He created chaos, but currently, his bowling deployment has become entirely predictable.
But how does being predictable neutralize a world-class spinner, though? Like, if he's good, shouldn't he still be effective?
Because T20 batters are masters of risk allocation. If opposing teams know exactly when Narene's 4 overs are coming, say strictly in the middle overs without variation, they simply build their budget around him.
Oh, I see.
They don't try to attack his mystery spin. They just milk him for 5 or 6 singles and over, safely waiting out his spell. Then, having preserved their wickets against the main threat, they violently attack the other weaker bowlers in the lineup.
So they just sidestep him entirely.
He has been neutralized, not by the batters deciphering his spin, but by his own team's predictable deployment, allowing the opposition to plan perfectly.
Wow. And if you want to talk about baffling deployment, we absolutely have to examine the bizarre underutilization of Manish Pandey.
Yeah, this one is tough to defend.
This decision defies all tactical logic. This is a guy who took a stunning, physics-defying one-handed catch to dismiss Tim David earlier. He has deep, proven pedigree. He was literally the first Indian to ever score an IPL century way back in 2009 playing for RCB.
An absolute legend of the tournament.
Yet, he hasn't been given a single chance to bat in KKR's 12 matches this season.
It's a glaring, almost negligent oversight in team management. When you have a middle order that occasionally stutters and struggles to absorb pressure, having a seasoned veteran like Pandey sitting on the bench for 12 straight games suggests a dangerous rigidness in strategy.
Exactly.
T20 cricket demands fluidity. You need players who understand the geometry of the field and know how to construct an innings when early wickets fall.
And it isn't just Pandey trapped in this system either.
No, it's a systemic issue. We briefly saw Jitesh Sharma come in and finish a game with a crucial boundary, which serves as another stark example of capable players waiting on the absolute fringes.
Yeah, just waiting for a chance.
They are desperate for their moment, while the primary game plan is visibly failing on the pitch. When a franchise stubbornly sticks to a failing formula without utilizing its proven bench strength, it's a recipe for exactly the kind of structural collapse we witnessed against RCB.
It's just wild to me. You possess a tactical asset, a literal history maker in the tournament, and you refuse to deploy him while your primary batters are failing to execute under pressure.
It really makes you question what's happening behind closed doors.
Which brings me to a final thought I want you, the listener, to mull over today. We've talked deeply about the mechanics of form, the processing speed of legends, the physics of death bowling, and the psychology of dropped catches.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. But look past all the technical data and think about the abstract concept of trust within sports franchises. Look at the stark, undeniable contrast we witnessed in this single match. RCB maintained their absolute trust in a player who had just delivered 2 consecutive zeros.
They never wavered.
Exactly. They trusted the underlying mechanics over the immediate, ugly results. They trusted that coiled spring to bounce back. And the result, a historic, match-winning century that altered the tournament landscape.
The huge payoff for that trust.
Now contrast that sharply with KKR. They showed a complete lack of trust in their own roster by benching a proven veteran talent like Manish Pandey for 12 straight games, rigidly refusing to adapt, even when their current plans were visibly faltering under pressure.
It's a stark difference in culture.
It really is. How much does a team's culture of patience, their willingness to trust the foundation rather than panicking at the surface level, directly translate to their ultimate position on the points table? It's something to seriously consider the next time you look at a team's lineup and wonder what's really going on behind the scenes, behind the numbers, and inside the dressing room. Thank you. See you soon with upcoming matches.